The Apostle John was over 90 years old when his eyes saw the impossible. Exiled on the island of Patmos, an arid rock in the middle of the Aegean Sea, he received the most detailed vision any human being has ever contemplated regarding the final destiny of creation. It was not a vague dream. It was a city, a metropolis of proportions that defy any human calculation, built with materials that do not exist on the terrestrial periodic table. And, most disturbing, it would not be erected by human hands, it would descend, ready, complete, directly from the throne of God. Think of the scenario that precedes this vision. The physical universe as we know it ceases to exist. The first heaven and the first earth pass away. The sea, which in biblical cosmology always represented chaos, separation, and mystery, simply disappears. John stands before a purified cosmic vacuum, and then from above he sees something emerge that would forever change human understanding of eternity. The New Jerusalem. CTAN. This city that John describes is not a metaphor. It is not poetic language to console the afflicted. The apostle receives measurements. He receives numbers. He receives the exact composition of the materials. An angel with a rod of pure gold measures every detail before the eyes of the exiled prophet. And what emerges from this measurement is something that surpasses any architectural work humanity has ever conceived. Many know fragments of this vision. They have heard of the streets of gold, of the gates of pearl, but few understand the real magnitude of what is recorded in Revelation 21 and 22. Few dimension what a city, 12,000 stadia in length, width, and height means, and that is exactly what we are going to explore now. Every number, every stone, every detail that John recorded nearly 2,000 years ago about the place where God will dwell eternally with the redeemed. Before moving forward, I must ask you a question. Have you ever stopped to calculate the real size of this city? 12,000 stadia. In the Roman measurement that John utilized, one stadium was equivalent to approximately 185 meters. Multiply that by 12,000. The result is staggering. 2,200 kilometers. That is the length of the New Jerusalem. That is also its width, and that is also its height. Dimension this. If you place the base of this city over Brazilian territory, it would cover an area stretching from São Paulo to nearly the border with Colombia, and it would rise upward, surpassing the Earth's atmosphere, entering what we today call the exosphere. We are talking about a cubic structure with approximately 10 billion cubic kilometers of internal volume. But why a cube? The geometry is not accidental. In the Old Testament, there was only one place on planet Earth that possessed this perfect shape, the Holy of Holies, inside the Temple of Solomon. It was a cube of approximately 10 meters in each direction, the most sacred place on Earth, the only point where the manifest presence of God dwelt among men. Only the high priest could enter there, and only once a year, on the Day of Atonement. Now observe what John is describing. The entire city is a Holy of Holies. There is no longer a small compartment reserved for the divine presence. The complete metropolis, with its 2,200 kilometers in each direction, is the most sacred precinct in the universe. Every square centimeter is territory of absolute intimacy with the Creator. And the wall that surrounds this city, John records 144 cubits of thickness. Converting to current measurements, it is approximately 65 meters. Think of a 20-story building lying horizontally. That is the thickness of the wall. But here an intriguing detail arises that the biblical text itself highlights. This measurement is described as the measure of a man, which is that of an angel. John is saying that celestial and terrestrial measurement coincide at this point. The transcendent and the physical meet on the same ruler. But if there are no more enemies after the final judgment, what is a 65-meter wall for? The function is not military. The wall does not exist to defend. It exists to delimit, to separate the sacred from what was left behind, to establish boundaries between the new creation and everything that was definitively conquered. It is an architectural landmark of exclusivity, an eternal reminder that that territory belongs uniquely to those who had their names written in the Lamb's Book of Life. And the material of this wall, solid jasper, a translucent and radiant precious stone that, under the light of divine glory, shines with an intensity that John compares to crystal. 65 meters of pure jasper surrounding a city the size of half a continent. Now let us enter. The gates of the New Jerusalem are 12, 3 facing east, 3 north, 3 south, 3 west. This perfect symmetry indicates something fundamental. Access to the eternal city is universal. It does not matter from which direction you come. It does not matter your geographical origin on the old earth. There is an entrance prepared, but the material of these gates is what is most impressive. Each gate is made of a single pearl. One single pearl. Consider the scale. We are talking about gates proportional to a wall 65 meters thick in a city 2,200 kilometers long. Colossal pearls, organic structures of dimensions impossible for any oyster that has ever existed in terrestrial oceans. And here there is a symbolism that cannot go unnoticed. Unlike diamonds, which form through extreme pressure in the depths of the earth, unlike emeralds, which crystallize in violent geological processes, the pearl is born from a wound. It is the result of an irritation, of a foreign body that invades the oyster and causes suffering. The oyster, as a defense mechanism, coats this invader layer by layer until it transforms pain into beauty. The entrance to eternity is made of the product of suffering. Every time a redeemed person crosses one of these gates, they will be passing through a permanent reminder. Access to that place was only possible because someone suffered, the Lamb who was slain, the Christ who shed blood, the wound that became the door. At each gate there is also a sentinel angel, and the name of one of the 12 tribes of Israel engraved on the structure: Judah, Reuben, Gad, Asher, Naphtali, Manasseh, Simeon, Levi, Issachar, Zebulun, Joseph, Benjamin. God's original covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob eternalized in celestial architecture. The past and the future meeting at the thresholds of the eternal city. And what sustains this entire structure? Below the jasper wall, John sees 12 foundations, each one formed by a different precious stone, and on each foundation is engraved the name of one of the 12 apostles of the Lamb: Peter, James, John, Andrew, Philip, Bartholomew, Matthew, Thomas, James son of Alphaeus, Simon, Judas son of James, and in the place of Judas Iscariot, Matthias. The Church, the New Covenant, the foundation upon which the city rises. CTA 2. The mineralogy of these foundations creates a spectacle that defies the imagination. When the light of divine glory passes through these stones, each layer reflects and refracts different colors. The first foundation is jasper, translucent and radiant. The second is sapphire, of a deep blue like the sky at its most intense point. The third is chalcedony, with milky tones mixed with blue. The fourth is emerald, vibrant green, like the densest forests of the old earth. The fifth foundation is sardonyx, a stone with alternating bands of white and brownish red. The sixth is sardius, of a ruby red so intense it looks like crystallized blood. The seventh is chrysolite, gleaming with golden and greenish reflections simultaneously. The eighth is beryl, transitioning between sea green and deep blue. The ninth foundation is topaz, radiating yellow and gold in perfect transparency. The 10th is chrysoprase, bright apple green. The 11th is jacinth, blending violet, blue, and red into a single stone. And the 12th, completing the base, is amethyst, majestic purple, the color of royalty. 12 stones, 12 colors, 12 apostles, a mineralized rainbow sustaining the eternal habitation of God with men, and the interior of the city. John describes the main square or central street as being of pure gold, but not the gold we know. This gold possesses a physical property that does not exist in any terrestrial laboratory. It is transparent like clear glass. The entire city is built of this impossible material, gold that you can see through, precious metal with the clarity of crystal. Imagine walking down an avenue where the ground beneath your feet is solid gold, but you can see through it, where the structures around you shine with the incalculable value of the most coveted metal in human history, but light passes through them without creating a single shadow. It is architecture from another universe, construction with the physical laws of eternity. And in the center of this city, John sees something that connects the end to the beginning. A river, but not an ordinary river. It is described as bright as crystal, and its source is not in mountains or underground aquifers. This river springs directly from the throne of God and of the Lamb, the source of all life, emanating water in perpetual abundance. And on the banks of this river, on both sides, is the tree of life. Do you remember it? In Genesis, after the fall of Adam and Eve, God placed cherubim with flaming swords to guard the way to the tree of life. Humanity was prevented from accessing it. For thousands of years, this tree remained inaccessible, guarded, waiting. Now it reappears, and its description is extraordinary. It produces 12 different kinds of fruit, yielding a new crop every month of the eternal calendar. Its leaves do not fall, and these leaves serve for the healing of the nations, not because there will be disease in eternity, but as a symbol of complete restoration, of perpetual health, of permanent peace among all redeemed peoples. Eden restored, paradise elevated to cosmic proportions. What was lost in the garden returned in a metropolis. But perhaps the most revolutionary aspect of the New Jerusalem is not what it contains, but what it does not contain. John makes a point of recording deliberate absences. First absence, there is no temple. In all human civilizations, the temple was the center, the place where heaven and earth touched, the point of mediation between the divine and the human. Terrestrial Jerusalem had its temple, Rome had its temples, Athens had its Parthenon. Religion always needed a sacred building. In the New Jerusalem, no. John writes explicitly, "I saw no temple in the city, and the reason is devastatingly simple. The Lord God Almighty and the Lamb are its temple. Religion as mediation is extinct. There is no longer a need for rituals, sacrifices, intermediary priests, or consecrated buildings. Communion is direct, face-to-face, without veils. Second absence, there is no sun or moon. The city completely dispenses with the solar system. The glory of God is its omnipresent light. The Lamb is its lamp. There is no need for stars, for astronomical cycles, for alternating days and nights. Light emanates from the Creator himself, in constant and perfect intensity. Third absence, there is no night. As a consequence of perpetual divine illumination, the concept of night ceases to exist. There is no darkness. There are no time zones. There is no ancestral fear that humanity has always associated with the dark. The New Jerusalem exists in a state of eternal day, and the gates, they will never be closed. In antiquity, cities closed their gates at nightfall for fear of invasions, surprise attacks, enemies hidden in the darkness. In the New Jerusalem, the 12 gates of pearl remain open perpetually. There is nothing to fear. There is no enemy that approaches. Security is absolute. And who will inhabit this city? John is very specific. Nothing impure shall enter it. No person who practices abomination or a lie shall cross those gates. Citizenship is restricted, exclusive, limited uniquely to those whose names were written in the Lamb's Book of Life. For these inhabitants, the text describes a final state that combines two apparently contradictory elements: service and royalty. They will serve God. This indicates activity, purpose, function. Eternity will not be a perpetual idleness. There will be work, there will be mission, there will be contribution to something greater. And they shall see his face. This phrase carries immense theological weight. In the Old Testament, seeing the face of God meant death. When Moses asked to contemplate the divine glory, God replied that no man could see his face and live. Moses was placed in the cleft of a rock and could only see the back of God as he passed by. In the New Jerusalem, this barrier is removed. The redeemed will directly contemplate the face of the Creator, the greatest privilege imaginable in the biblical narrative, the veil definitively torn, absolute intimacy, and the name of God will be on their foreheads. In ancient culture, a mark on the forehead indicated ownership. Slaves were marked with the name of their masters, but here the context is different. It is not slavery. It is belonging. It is identity. It is the visible declaration that that person was rescued, redeemed, adopted as a son and daughter of the eternal King. They are not merely subjects. The text says they shall reign forever and ever. Service and government, worship and authority. A combination that only makes sense in the economy of the kingdom, where the greatest is the one who serves. John concludes his vision with words that echo through the millennia. These words are faithful and true. The Lord, the God of the spirits of the prophets, sent his angel to show his servants the things that must soon take place. Soon, 2,000 years have passed since John recorded these words on Patmos. Generations were born and died, empires rose and fell, technologies transformed the world, and still we wait. But the city is ready. The gold has already been purified, the pearls have already been formed, the foundations are already laid with their 12 precious stones, the river already flows from the throne, the tree of life already produces its monthly fruits. The New Jerusalem exists right now at some point in the spiritual cosmos, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband, awaiting only the moment determined by the Father to begin its descent. And when that happens, the announcement John heard will be fulfilled in its entirety. Behold, the tabernacle of God is with men. God himself will be with them. He will wipe away every tear from their eyes. There shall be no more death, nor sorrow, nor crying, nor pain. For the former things have passed away. The former things. All human suffering, all injustice, all disease, all separation, all mourning, all loneliness, all fear passed away. And in their place a city, not just any city, a metropolis of 2,200 kilometers in each direction, built with transparent gold and foundations of precious stones, illuminated by the glory of God himself, watered by the river that flows from the eternal throne, shaded by the tree of life that feeds the nations, protected by walls of jasper and accessed by gates of giant pearls that never close. The destiny of the redeemed, the prepared habitation, the New Jerusalem. And the question that remains for every person who hears this narrative is simple. Is your name written in the Lamb's Book of Life? Because the gates will be open, but citizenship is restricted. Final CTA. The vision John received on that rocky island in the Aegean Sea was not only to console the persecuted Christians of the first century, it was a map, an architectural blueprint of the final destination, a detailed promise that all suffering, all struggle, all perseverance of faith has a specific address waiting at the end of the journey. 2,200 kilometers of transparent gold, 12 gates of pearl that never close, 12 foundations of precious stones with the names of the apostles engraved, a crystalline river springing from the throne, a tree with 12 kinds of fruit healing the nations, and at the center of everything, the manifest, visible, tangible presence of God, dwelling eternally with his people. This is the prepared inheritance. This is the end of the story. And this end is already ready, awaiting only the moment to descend. If this content touched your heart, take your phone now, open the camera, and point it at the square code appearing on the screen. A secure link will appear automatically. Tap it, and you will have access to the digital book, The 7 Last Words of Jesus That Shook Jerusalem. This material will help you deepen your understanding of Christ's final moments and the eternal meaning of every word he pronounced on the cross. If you are watching on a computer or television, the link is also available in the video description, just below. On mobile, tap the video title or the More option to view the full description. When you access this digital book, you're also helping to keep this channel active, producing more content like this to edify the faith of thousands of people. Access it now. And leave the word Amen in the comments if you believe that one day you will be walking the streets of gold of the New Jerusalem.